Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's your favorite African queen, Hadiza, and this is Africa Living with Hadiza. First of all, welcome to the month of May. I just have such an amazing feeling about this month. I feel like this month is going to be incredible for all of us, so I wish you an exciting, amazing, beautiful, fulfilling month of May. This month is the month I'm hitting 1,000 subscribers. I feel it in my bones, and I know that you guys are going to help me get there. So if you have not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Like, subscribe, follow me. It's going to be the best ride of your life. So just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button right now. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't move on. Don't move on. Don't subscribe. If you're already subscribed, welcome back to another episode. And if you're new here, welcome. This is Africa Living with Hadiza, a channel that focuses on everything about Africa, our beautiful stories, our beautiful travel, our landscape, our food, our fashion, our exquisiteness. And then yes, we're not biased, we talk about everything because this channel also wants to help and see Africa grow. So we dissect the good, the bad, and the ugly because we know that that is how we bring about the most beautiful story possible. So this month of May, I am feeling the beauty, I am feeling the joy, I am feeling the softness, I am feeling the flex. So this month is a month that we're going to be focusing on African beauty, African beauty practices, African pleasure practices, plus PG-13. We're going to be focusing on all of those beautiful things. We're going to be talking about African hair, the way we perceive ourselves, the way we perceive our African beauty, and how that ties into us loving ourselves and us being the best of ourselves as people. Today we're going to be taking a brief travel down history lane, talking about African hair, the perception of African hair. Yes, I know I'm wearing a wig right now, but you know that I'm a natural queen and I love my natural hair. And yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about my own personal story in the journey of understanding my own hair and the beauty of my hair, and the beauty that everything that I am as an African ties into my divinity and my purpose as an African. When I started, growing up and navigating my natural hair, I didn't really have any relationship with my hair, and my mom too did not really understand natural hair, so she didn't really know how to care for her hair. So I grew up with very coarse, very strong hair, and my hair used to break combs. It was that coarse growing up. So I got my hair relaxed when I was just like, I think 17 or 18, and since then it's been a struggle. Sometimes my hair is flourishing and thriving, other times it cuts for no reason that I just couldn't understand. Last year, 2020, yes, January, I took the big leap of cutting my hair, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I didn't cut my hair with the intention of, I want to become a naturalista, I want to go natural. No, I just felt, let me cut my hair, let me allow it to be healthy, because as at the time I cut it, it was the most unhealthy it had ever been. And I felt, let me cut my hair, let it become healthy, and when it becomes healthy, I'll relax it again. But as I started, taking care of my natural hair, understanding the essence of my hair, I realized that this is a journey deeper than, just having that straight Eurocentric look that has been sold to us all of our lives. This is understanding the very essence of myself, and it has taught me so many lessons that I cannot wait to be sharing with you guys. And one disclaimer I have to put out there: every time we talk about African beauty, African, self-love, the way we see ourselves, a lot of men check out of the conversation and like, oh no, this is for women. No, in the good old days, back then in ancient Africa, hair was a thing of pride. Everybody did their hair. Both men and women did their hair in elaborate styles that made you to know whether you're royal, whether you're a soldier. That was the expression of our hair. But now, a lot of men check out of this conversation and feel like anything that has to do with beauty, self-care is just for women. But it's absolutely not. A lot of our African men struggle with identity issues as well, because when the world sells to you only this particular standard of beauty and tells you that this is what the world accepts and sees as beautiful, it's hard for you to see yourself as beautiful. And The truth of the matter is that beauty is not just about beauty. Beauty is about self-perception. Beauty is about the way you would end up carrying yourself. Beauty goes deeper into transforming who you can be in relation to your society. That is why these conversations are so important. So all my men, I want you to listen and listen closely. Black people are beautiful. Men, women, children, all of us are gorgeous, divine, spiritual beings like nothing the world has experienced before. And it is time for us to start to wake up and reclaim our divinity and every single thing that is beautiful about us. Yes, I know I'm wearing a wig, and so people be like, okay, there you go talking about natural hair, but you're wearing a wig. So, in the process of learning about natural hair, I understand that it's not a do or die affair. I believe that people are free. Life is, full of expression. You're free to express yourself in whichever way pleases you. If it's natural hair you love, go ahead. If it's relaxed hair you love, go ahead. If you want to rock a weave, please, by all means. My main purpose with all of this is caring for our natural hair, ensuring that under that protective style, under that wig, under that weave, inside those braids, the hair that you're growing is healthy, thriving, beautiful, flourishing hair that gives you a sense of pride even when you take your wig off. Even when you take your wig off, you're still slaying because your hair is giving. Yes, I've had these cornrows in for like 1 month now, so I know it looks very raggedy, but I'm actually going to make my hair on Friday, and I'm going to take you guys with me to do my hair for the very first time in kinky braids. I'd never had kinky braids all my life because, like I said, I was very Eurocentricized, if there's such a word like that, when I was growing up in relation with my hair. And I felt like, oh, I love that sleek, silky look. Well, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the sleek, silky look. I didn't learn to love or understand my own natural texture. And I had a really long battle with my hair. So I'm actually going to do my hair in kinky braids for the very first time in my life, and I know I'm going to love it. Now I'm understanding that even if I wear weaves, even if I do braids, I want to do things that are more closer to the natural texture of my hair, because it's a celebration of the essence of me as a gorgeous, beautiful African queen in all of my glory. Everything about me, everything about being African is beautiful, and this channel encourages us to embrace all of that. When we talk about self-hate, self-identity issues, self-esteem issues that we suffer terribly in Africa, it stems from these little things. Yes, it might look like how much is hair in the grand scheme of things. It does play a very, very huge role in some of the destructive behavior that we see in Black people, because they want to run away as far as possible from this glorious identity of being kings and queens and gods in divinity. So thank you so much for coming to my TED Talk. I want you guys to watch this video. We're going to take a brief trip down memory lane on African hair, how it evolved from our glorious styles of shuku thread, using our hair to communicate with God, to when we became more dependent on Eurocentric standards of beauty, and how we can navigate ourselves going forward from here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate you guys so much. This month is, see, I'm going to be bringing you content back to back. Don't say I didn't ever do anything for you. If you have not subscribed, well, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Subscribe, like, and follow me on this journey, because it's going to be the ride of your life. I shall see you at the end of this video.
For as long as we can remember, hair has always played a significant role in the culture of ancient African civilization. Hair symbolized one's family background, social status, spirituality, tribe, and marital status. As early as the 15th century, different tribes used their hair to show one's social hierarchy, and members of royalty wore elaborate hairstyles as a symbol of their stature. Hair was also a symbol of fertility. If a person's hair was long, thick, and neat, it symbolized that one was able to bear healthy children. And if someone was in mourning, they would pay very little attention to their hair. Hair was also a source of pride and a source of identity for Black people. With the hair being an elevated part of one's body, ancient communities believed that it helped in divine communication. So how did our hair go from becoming a thing of pride, a thing of social expression, a thing of identity, and a thing of communal social activity? How did we go from appreciating the beauty and essence of our glorious hair in the self-identity of what our hair represented to becoming something that we shy away from at the quickest opportunity? Sit back, relax with me as we take a deep dive into some of the reasons why we perceive our hair the way we do and how we can start to reclaim the identity of our hair and everything that the beauty of our hair has held over the years. In pre-colonial African societies, black hair was seen as a symbol of a person's identity. During that time, there was a hairstyle for everyone and for every occasion. Whether you were royalty, a soldier going off to war, or a mother about to give birth, there was even a hairstyle for women waiting for their husbands to come back from war. A person could tell who they were talking to simply by looking at their hairstyles. Ancient African communities fashioned their hair for more than just style. Throughout the continent, a person's hairstyle could tell you a lot about who they were and where they came from. Hairstyles played a significant role in communicating values, culture, and morals. There was always a reason why a particular hairstyle was plaited. Before the advent of civilization, both men and women plaited their hair for different reasons that were understandable even to a child. In the Yoruba culture, for instance, if a woman wanted to communicate love to her spouse, she would plait a hairstyle called koju soko, means face your husband. This hairstyle, however, sends a message to the husband who understands that his wife is either about to make a request or please him. On the other hand, the Shango family, especially the males, do a hairstyle called kolese, legless or without legs, which indicate that such people are from the Shango family, communicates the significance of the identity of black hair. However, these hairstyles serve purposes other than aesthetic appeal and beautification. They can also be used for religious purposes as a mark of identity, age, political authority, ceremonies, occupation, or even to convey a woman's mood and denote marital status. In the Yoruba culture, humans are referred to as Omo Adiri Horo, a species that grows hair on the head. Because of their hair, which is a very important aspect of Yoruba culture, the Yoruba believed that improper hair grooming was an indication of disease as well as antisocial or deviant behavior. A person could tell who they were talking to simply by looking at the hairstyles, said Lori Tarps, a professor of journalism at Temple University and co-author of Hair Story, Untangling the Roots of Black Hair in America. Her book traces the journey of black hair all the way back to the 15th century in West Africa. Your family, your tribe all had their own specific hairstyles. In addition, your hairstyle could be more elaborate if you held a higher position in society. According to Tarps' research, there was never a time that a person didn't have their hair done in some kind of style, whether they were male or female. Tarps explains that braids and other intricate hairstyles were historically worn to signify marital status, age, religion, wealth, and ranking in society. From a king's ornate beaded braid to special headdresses worn by new mothers, these styles had deep cultural and historical roots. It could take hours and even days to create these artful looks, so hairstyling was also an important social ritual, a time to bond with family and friends, and this remains a tradition that has been passed on for generations. Hair was also thought to be a source of personal and spiritual power. As the most elevated part of the body, some communities believed it connected them to the divine. In the Yoruba culture, for example, people would braid their hair to send a message to the gods. Numerous Africans believe the hair is a method for communication with the divine being. Consequently, many thought communications passed through the hair. Many believed a single strand of hair could be used to cast a spell or inflict harm, hence why hairdressers held a very significant position in African communities. But when the transatlantic slave trade began, these traditions were erased and a new set of meanings were imposed upon black people's hair, particularly by their slave owners. The hair was one of those physical attributes that was very easy to point to and say, look at their hair. It's more like an animal than it is like our hair. That's what makes them inferior, said Tarps. The slavery era and the decades following it set the stage for much of the negative stereotype around how black people presented themselves that still persists till this day. Black people's beauty was depicted as a negative, and we can see that from the time of enslavement in North America and forward. If you think about Sarah Baartman, for example, also commonly known as the Hottentot Venus, her Rubenesque body style was made fun of through the white Western eye because of how voluptuous she was. Black women were simply told they weren't beautiful. These Eurocentric beauty standards have consistently cast black people as deviant or abnormal because they didn't fit into the narrowly defined parameters of how white people saw beauty. And so we went from loving our hair and carefully caring for our hair to covering up our hair and trying to emulate European standards, but not because we thought they were not pretty. That was actually none of that. The emulation of European styles was to push back against the idea that we were inferior or that we were animalistic. If the white slave owners were going to tell us our hair is what makes us inferior, then we're going to say, well, if I can make my hair look like yours, then I am not inferior. I am just like you. During the transatlantic slave trade, an estimated 12 million African men, women, and children were kidnapped and sold into slavery. One of the first things the slave traders did to the people they captured was to shave off their head. Considering the strong spiritual and cultural importance of hair in Africa, it was a particularly dehumanizing act intended to strip away their connection to their culture. When their hair grew back, they no longer had access to the herbal treatments, oils, and combs from their homeland. Hair that was once a source of pride and expression of identity was often tucked away beneath cloth to cover rough tangled tresses and shield them from hours spent toiling under the sun. The slave masters dehumanized the slaves and compared their black hair to wool. Due to their hard work, they found no time to take care of their hair, and the jealousy of non-women of color towards their black slaves that the colonizers found attractive made a law passing forcing black women to put a cloth around their head to hide their hair. In addition, for the black women, these rags became a way to cover their hair because the workload did not give them time to take care of the hair. With limited tools and time to take care of their hair, people got creative with what they had at their disposal, relying on bacon grease, butter, and kerosene as conditioners, cornmeal as dry shampoo, and sheep fleece carding tools as combs. Even under such inhumane conditions, enslaved people still held on to their African traditions of braiding each other's hair and using head wraps to cover their hair from the elements. The emerging stereotype of good hair versus bad hair. Established in their country, the colonialists made black women see kinky hair as bad hair and straight flowing hair as good hair. Sadly, a lot of black women try to straighten their hair even if it meant using dangerous chemicals like ile, a strong alkaline solution made out of potassium hydroxide used for washing or cleaning, which they mixed with potatoes. The stereotype of good hair became a prerequisite for entering certain schools, churches, social groups, and business networks. How did natural hair become unpopular in Africa though? How did the people who were not enslaved and remained in Africa become more adverse toward Eurocentric standards of beauty as opposed to African standards of beauty? The existence of colonialism in Africa played a major part in making the Africans become biased towards their own natural hair. As with everything that characterized Western colonialism, there was a deliberate attempt at westernizing the black people and taking them as far removed from their culture and identity as possible. Their hair, which was once a source of a strong identity and a source of knowledge of self, was slowly sold to them as something that is rough, unruly, ugly, and should not be presented in public. With the rise of this conceptualization, entered the relaxer to Africa. The first documented history of the relaxer began with Garrett Augustine Morgan in 1909. His hair straightening cream was found accidentally when trying to find a solution to ease friction on sewing machines in his tailor shop. Morgan tested his cream on a neighboring dog's fur. With the success of the cream, he established G.A. Morgan Hair Refining Company and began to sell his product to black and mixed people. Hair relaxer has mainly been an Afro thing, which over the years has evolved as the method of choice by other cultures to release natural curls and kinks. The methods and products formulas vary, but the end result is basically the same. If you're wondering why women of color gravitate more towards a relaxer, it's closely tied to society's ideal beauty standard. The media portrays the definition of beauty as being slim with really slick hair, which in turn makes women with textured hair feel like they need to relax their hair so they can be part of that definition of beauty. Not necessarily because they even needed it, but because that was what was defined as put together, refined, polished, sexy, and sophisticated. In the 90s, these stereotypical beauty standards related to the chemical relaxers were the most popular. The 90s was a huge era for relaxers, says Johnson. Most actresses, entertainers, and models in the media chemically relaxed their hair. Hair relaxing has evolved and is now much more popular in beauty salons than it used to be in barber shops. The reason that it started commercially in barber shops was because men wore their hair shorter and were in better condition to accept the harsh chemicals. The hair of women was more likely to become damaged by relaxers because they were pressing and curling their hair, and the longer it was, the weaker it was from the constant heat treatment usually done every 2 weeks or less. Now it is just as acceptable to have your hair in its natural beautiful state or to have it in a soft silky relaxed state. The main aim of this conversation is healthy hair, embracing your natural texture, whether it is in its natural state or in a relaxed state, ensuring that in that state it is healthy. In that state it is something that you are proud of. And it is also vital to realize that all women have a choice with their hair. Natural hair is not for everybody. It's a beautiful thing, but just because you wear your hair in kinks and curls doesn't mean that your hair is healthy. And the same goes for relaxed hair. Because you wear your hair soft and silky doesn't mean that it is healthy either. The aim of this conversation is understanding the essence of our hair and doing all we can to ensure that it is as healthy and as beautiful as it ought to be. Now this leads us to the rise of the natural hair movement. Much has been said about the difficulties black women face, when attempting to untangle the negativity associated with their natural hair. The natural hair movement started these conversations, first in the 1960s when it was intertwined with the fight for civil rights in America, before a YouTube-powered resurgence in the early 2010s. Black women across the world began to embrace their own textures. Looking out at a cultural landscape of lace front wigs, I asked my colleagues to explore how they feel about their hair today, and many pointed to the pandemic as a time when the conversation started shifting away from natural beauty. Vogue's beauty associate Twiggy Jallow says that along with being a time of experimentation, lockdown saw the emergence of femininity coaches, the BBL aesthetic, and the so-called high-value band, all of which drove beauty standards back towards long, straight hair. Fashion and accessories editor Donna Wallace adds that wigs have become even more accessible than it used to be. Has this impacted the hard-won love black women built for their own coils? Doja Cat shaved her head recently, explaining that while wigs have become impractical, she didn't like her own hair. Viral rapper Ice Spice short auburn curls have been mocked through memes, and TikToker Lip Gloss addressed her struggle to wear her natural hair with confidence, as so few others did, and received rabid backlash from black men for relying how only white men approached her when she wore this style. Now this brings me back to the introduction of this video and to the story I told about how it is on all of us to embrace our natural hair. The natural hair movement began with a very strong momentum, with a lot of black people understanding that there was actually value and pride in their hair and deciding to let go of the Eurocentric standards and take pride in what is the nature of their own essence. While this was a fantastic idea when it started, most of these movements were powered by a strong force to want to turn people from what they had known, from what they have understood all their lives, into what they were just beginning to understand, without a deeper explanation of the why we should do those things, of the why we should have a sense of pride in who we are as a people. When something is forced upon a people, it's just a matter of time that it loses its appeal, because people always seek for a deeper meaning as to why they should do something. And when they do something just out of compulsion or initial excitement, it loses its vigor with time, and then people go back to their old ways. Same way I feel the natural movement went, hence why it had such a very high and is seemingly to have a very low. We have to understand the essence of why we do what we do, not just do things because of a fad or because that is what is in now. Natural hair to me is more than something just being in. It's an understanding and our expression of our true divinity, of our true essence as Black people. And like I said initially, hair is a choice. You can choose to wear your hair relaxed. You can choose to wear your hair natural. The most important thing is that hair is healthy. That hair is something that you are intrinsically proud of, regardless of the opinions and the responses of the world. Because the truth of the matter is, tastemakers will constantly come and feed to the world what they think is socially, culturally, and beautifully, if there's such a word, acceptable in the world of beauty standards, in the world of fashion standards. Our sense of self and our sense of pride as a people should come from a deeper interior understanding of who we are and the value that we hold, the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual meaning that these things hold to us, the significance of our hair to us. When we understand these things, then we can take the long road. Keeping natural hair is not easy, and all the credit for this movement has to go to the African American women who understood the value, who started to see the value of our hair and took their time to teach us. A lot of YouTubers took their time to teach us how to navigate our natural hair. Growing up here in Nigeria, I didn't have any models to teach me what natural hair was all about until I started delving deep into YouTube and understanding that, wow, my own natural pattern can actually grow. My hair can actually grow. Understanding and seeing pictures of people who have dreadlocks that go from the crown of their head to the sole of their feet. Our hair can actually grow, but it takes a little bit more understanding. It takes a little bit more care. It takes a little bit more energy and patience to take the long road of natural hair. African hair today has become a good mix of what we can consider the natural hair sisters and the straight hair sisters. Whichever end of the spectrum you fall on, the main thing is understanding and valuing your hair, appreciating your hair for the essence of what it is, celebrating your natural texture, ensuring that your hair is healthy, doing the best within your ability to ensure that your hair is healthy, because hair will always be an intrinsic element of our society, an intrinsic element of us, and an intrinsic element of our own personal expression. So I would like to thank everyone for watching. I would like to thank everyone in the natural hair movement who started this journey of teaching us how to embrace our hair, of teaching us how to embrace our identity in a world that didn't necessarily feel that our standard of beauty needed to be represented. It is so refreshing to have people in the community that took their time to learn, people in the community that took their time to create products from America. We have products even indigenous to Nigeria that cater to our natural hair. So it feels good to understand that now we can have a seat on the table. Indeed, it is still a long journey because the process of reorientation doesn't happen overnight. It is still a long journey, but we will begin to love ourselves. We will begin to see the value of everything that we are, the essence of who we are, and the power that we hold in every single little aspect of us and our being. Thank you so much to everyone who has has watched. I really appreciate you. I know this video is a bit of a long one, but I wanted to get everything in as much as I possibly could. Thank you for watching. If you're a naturalista, if you're a relaxed sister, please do your thing, but ensure that you keep your hair healthy and ensure that you love yourself. You love yourself as you are, totally and completely naturally you, regardless of if your hair is relaxed, regardless of if your hair is natural. Essence is that we love ourselves for everything that we are as Black people, men and women. We love and appreciate the essence of who we are. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in my next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me for more interesting content on African history. See you next time. Bye.